So we'll go ahead and get started with the session. Um, and the purpose of this session is basically to provide any help that I can around what is for many of you a new device that you've very recently gotten, or devices in some cases. And for some of you, you might have had your device for a while and are just kind of looking for maybe a few quick tips and tricks here or there. So I will do my best to help however I can. Need an Apple ID? No. You probably will want one if you're looking to download and install apps on your iPad. So, so you don't have to have it, but basically in order to do any additional apps that we don't add onto there, you will need one. And I do have a guide here. So if you look on my website where the session is, if you click on where it says resource page, iPad tips and tricks. So anytime I make a video or a handout, it ends up on this page. And I actually do have a little guide there about creating your Apple ID in case you need it, because there's a couple of steps that that you go through in order to first create the Apple ID and then set it up to work with the App Store. So, so that is there for you to check out. I have up here, I have my iPad, and when you go to connect to an Apple TV, what you do is, and again, hopefully you can see this part, is you're going to reach down from the top right corner to create or to bring down the control center. So I'm actually literally just touching those couple icons, Wi-Fi, battery. That's my sort of my cue. That's where I go through and I just pull down and I get the control center. So with that, there's a button in the middle. There's a button for screen mirroring. You press that, and then you're going to see a list of Apple TVs that are on the network. So I'm going to go with Computer Lab. You're going to see it's going to ask me to put in a passcode. So I'm going to type in that exact number on my iPad in the prompt and then press OK. And then now you'll see that I am connected with my iPad to the Apple TV. So that is just a very basic. I do have a guide for that as well that I actually will be distributing to all of the teachers that are getting an Apple TV. I think Leeds already has theirs at this point, and hopefully Turner Primary will have those out tomorrow so that y'all can check that out and be able to connect. So one question that I got is, how do I make a home screen bookmark? So on the iPad, you can actually make it so that a website bookmark acts like an app. You can see it. You'll be able to see it on the home screen, and you can just press on it and it will open up. So the one thing about that, though, is because I think all the staff iPads have Google Chrome on them. So Google Chrome specifically does not do the home screen bookmark thing. The only way that you can do that is in Safari. So Safari being at the bottom on the dock, or it should be on the dock of your iPad. You can just press on that. And so when you come to a website and you want to save it so that you have an app or an icon on your home screen that you can press, you're going to press on the share icon. And just about any time you see this, that's like a universal sign for this is how you get something from this app to someplace else. So it may be sending a photo to Gmail, or it might be any number of things. But if you press on that, then you'll see towards the bottom of the menu here, it says add to home screen, and I can press on that, and then I can change the actual name of the bookmark if I want. I can just press in it or bring up my keyboard. I can change it. but otherwise you can press add, and then it kind of gives you the thumbnail of the website, and now when you press on that icon, it will just bring that website up for you right in Safari. Press those, but I will move on to the next piece I wanted to talk about, which is organizing apps and folders. So if you noticed that I've kind of set my iPad up so that it mirrors what the student devices look like, at least on one of the home screens, because you know, when I go in to create a lesson for students or I want to show them how to do something, I want my screen to look exactly like theirs would, so that they can follow along with me and have those visual cues. But you might notice also, if I swipe to the left, I have a bunch more apps that are not organized in that same way. And obviously it's because I have many more apps that I want to use than what is available on the student devices. You'll have that too. But on your iPads, I didn't do any organizing of apps. I didn't create any folders or anything like that. And that's just because the way that we manage the iPads, it's either all or nothing. So that either we basically assume entire control of how your home screen is organized and you can't move anything, or we have no control and you have a bunch of apps in no particular order and you're trying to find one, you're trying to find that needle in the haystack. So I do want to show you about how you can organize these into folders. And the way that you can do that is start off by identifying an app that you want to move around. And you can just do so by pressing and holding it with your finger, and you'll see what happens here. Let's say I want to move Google Calendar. So I'm going to press and hold, and you'll see that this little menu pops up, almost like I right-clicked on it. And one of the options is Edit Home Screen. And when I press that, then you're going to see all of the icons start to wiggle, and you see X's as well. So if you see the X's, that means you can actually, that's how you delete those apps. So if I wanted to get rid of Google Calendar, I would just press the X in the top left corner. It'll ask if you're sure. I'm not, so I'm going to cancel. If you press delete, then it goes away. Any app that you download from the App Store, you can always go back and download later. And if you paid for an app, you wouldn't have to pay again, because it keeps track of what you have purchased in the past. But in addition to adding or removing apps, you can also rearrange them. So you can see I can press and hold, and now you see that it's following my finger around the screen. So I can move it to the left, I can move it to the right, I can move it down, I can kind of move it wherever I want. But if I wanted to put this app in a folder, what I would want to do, if I don't already have a folder, is I'm going to actually move the icon so that it's sitting on top of another app that I also want to go in that folder. So let's say if I want it to be in the same folder as Gmail, I'm just going to drag it over. And you'll see when I hold it long enough, it creates this new box. And this is the folder right here. So I've now created a folder that has two apps, Gmail and Google Calendar, in it. And then you'll also see that at the top of it, it has a name called productivity, and you can change that. It basically just takes a look at how the app is categorized in the App Store, and it just kind of uses that. So I can press the X right here, and I can just rename it. So I might call it Google. Just call it my Google folder, and then press done. And then anytime you press outside of the box where the app is, you go back a level. So then you could go through and add more apps. So if I wanted to move tasks in there, just pick up and hold it around. And you'll see that stuff kind of moves around. So you kind of get stuck in this like grid arrangement with the iPad. So there's not a whole lot that you can do about that. Another thing too, because again, if you notice that I have apps across multiple home screens, if I swipe left and swipe right. So if you take an app and you kind of bring it all the way to one side or the other, say I want to do something with Google Photos, if I just bring it over as far as I can to the left, it brings me to a screen over. Same thing if I can go this way across too. So I can move apps between screens if you have a particular way that you want to organize by page, or you're just trying to get stuff all in one place. If you're like me, I really like to have all of my apps in one screen as much as possible. So that is how you can create folders and apps and organize things around. So I kind of leave it up to you as to how you want to do it. If you want to have your own organizational scheme, or if you want to do like I did and set up a page that's just like the mirror of the student, so then I have all of my apps somewhere else. That way you have that. And Amy, it is just like the iPhone because it is the same operating system. So yeah, absolutely. And then Melissa, I don't need all the students. Yeah, you can delete. I think you can delete pre-installed ones that we've pushed out. I don't remember for sure. I don't know. I know the students can't. I don't know what we did about the teacher. I'd have to look at it. But if you hold down on an app and you end up seeing an X on it, when you get the icon start to wiggle, if there's an X in the top left corner, that means you can then you can close out of it. So, or you can delete it. That was what you're asking. I'm sorry. So, yep, do with it as you may. Oh, I should talk about too really quickly, since you're talking about organizing apps and folders, is to remove an app from a folder. Probably should have gone over that. So if I go back into the Google folder that I just made, and I can press and open edit home screen, all you have to do is just drag it outside of the square that it's in. And then you can see that it's now out. I can reposition it within the home screen and do that. And then usually after you have gone through and removed all of the apps from a folder, then you'll see the folder just disappears. Another thing too that I want to show you really quickly is you may have noticed that my icons are actually slightly larger than yours, and that I can't fit quite as many icons on my screen as you can on yours. And that is another setting, because I set mine up this way so that it mirrors what I set up on the student devices. I set up the icons to be a little bit bigger. So if you want to create, if you want your icons to be larger, you're going to go into the settings app. And then this is under home screen and dock. So if you go on the left side, there's a category called home screen and dock. And then you'll see that you have two choices. You have more and bigger. And so by default, it's actually set to more. I set mine to bigger, and I set the student ones to bigger. The thing with having more icons is on the iPad, there is what's called the Today view. And you can bring it up when you're using the bigger option. I'll show you what it looks like. But under more, it actually gives you the additional option of always having it on the left side. So let's go home and take a look. You'll see how the arrangement has changed. You see I can fit way more icons than I was able to before. And you'll see that I have this little sidebar here now. That's the Today view. And just like with the app icons, you can press and hold, and you can move stuff around, and you can add pieces to it. If you want, I can spend some more time, but it's not a super essential function. If I go back and set it to bigger, that view, you can still get it to show up, but what you have to do is you have to swipe from the left side of your screen and swipe right, and then it brings you that Today view from there instead. Yes, and unfortunately, it's the same thing. So you won't be able to see student faces on your screen as you present. So what a lot of teachers have done at this point is they kind of will use both devices. So they'll use their Chromebook and have Zoom up on that at the same time. But so that way, because I think even if you're screen sharing, you can't see as many faces, but you can at least, I think you can see kind of a little strip on top that you can toggle between, so it's better than nothing. But unfortunately, because what the iPad is actually doing when you go to when you go to share your screen is it's very much like what I'm doing now connected to the Apple TV is you're sharing your whole screen and everything that's on it. So, you know, if you had student faces on there, then the students would see their faces coming back to them. So I think they kind of just sort of nuked that ability just because of that. Yeah. So unfortunately, there isn't a great solution, even with the iPad in play. Yeah. So Bob, when you present on Zoom on Windows, so that the ability to see faces while you're presenting is available on Windows, Mac, and Linux. On the larger sort of Zoom desktop client that they have. Unfortunately, it's not available on Android or iOS apps or on Chrome. So if you have a Windows 10 computer or a Mac computer at home, then yes, you can have that ability, and you can even set up what's called dual screen mode, so you can share something on one side and then have a whole monitor full of faces on the other. So the desktop, just because there's more capability on a desktop computer than a tablet or a Chromebook, just has that functionality when the others might not. So only so much we can do about that. When you try to open your apps on the iPad, I keep opening my camera. So Terry, is this happening when you are like when you wake up your iPad from sleep and you're trying to get back into your iPad and you go on your camera? Yes. Okay. Yeah. So that's because we don't have to swipe to get, because there was a time with the older version of iOS when you kind of got to that wake screen that you had to swipe over. Now, if you notice, you'll have to look very carefully. But if you see right down here, I have this little camera right there. So that's actually telling you that if you swipe to the right, it's actually the camera over that way. So that's probably what's happening, is you're swiping over because that's what you're used to doing to wake your iPad up, and it's going to bring you back there. And then you can just press the home screen button on the right or on the bottom if you're holding it portrait mode to get back to here. And it's you press the home screen button twice. So you basically can press it to turn on the screen, press it again to get into your iPad. The swipe part doesn't exist anymore, unless you're on older iPads that can't upgrade beyond, I think iOS 9 was the last version that did that. Setting up a Zoom meeting using the calendar app. So Bob, I actually took some time to dig around with this, and I don't know that I found a really great solution for setting up Zoom meetings on the iPad, because I didn't find a way to migrate what you were setting up in Zoom over into Google Calendar and vice versa. So like if I go into Zoom, you know, like let's say if I go, I gotta hide this. So if I go onto the Zoom website and schedule a meeting from there, yeah. So like if I have a meeting on and I'm logged in on the Zoom website, I have a add to Google Calendar button, and then vice versa. If you have the Zoom extension installed in Google Calendar, let's go. You know, if you have the Zoom extension installed in Google Calendar, when you go to add a new event in your calendar, then you can, I actually don't, but you'll have an add to Zoom. There isn't a way that I found to recreate any of those from the iPad. So when you go to make a meeting on the Zoom app, there isn't like an add to Google Calendar button. There isn't even really like a just copy the meeting link. You have to copy the whole invitation that it sends in an email. And then in Google Calendar, there isn't, let me pull it up here. In Google Calendar, if you go to add video conferencing, it just adds a Google Meet link. There isn't a way where I can add a Zoom link because Google, in case you don't know, really, 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 really wants you to use Google Meet. So unfortunately, there isn't really a way around that. So I would continue to use your Chromebook to set up your meetings, and then in the Zoom app itself, they'll show up. If you go on the left side where it says meetings, anything that you've scheduled will show up here, and you have an easy link to it. So unfortunately, that's probably the best answer that I can give you, Bob. Is there isn't really a way to recreate the process on the iPad. If you want to do screen recording, and I would say too, if you're interested in having me go over this with your students, I'd be happy to, because I know I just started an activity with second grade with my virtual computer science where they needed to record their screen, and I put the tutorial in the module, and some of them figured it out, and some of them didn't, and some of them figured out how to screen record but then didn't screen record the right thing. So I did want to go through that. So the same place that you connect to an Apple TV, the control center. So if you pop down that menu from the top right, this is also a place where you can go to make a screen recording. And you're going to look for this icon right here. And the only thing with that is, by default, this icon isn't here. And I tried my best to remember to enable it on all of the student iPads, but I don't think I did so on yours. So I did want to take some time to show you how to, first of all, get this icon here, and then how to use it to record your screen. So we'll go over that. And then, like I said, on my website, I have a video that will show you that too, because I actually won't be able to show you all of the components of it. But if I go to settings, back to the settings app, and under on the left side, you're going to look for the control center option. And then I'm on iOS 14. Excuse me, some of your iPads may be on iOS 13. So if that's the case, you're going to see an extra screen before the one that I'm on right now that says customize controls. And you just have to press that, and then you'll pretty much see the same thing that I do. And then this is included controls on the top. So all of these things that are in the included controls list are what shows up right here. These 7 icons on the bottom and some others. And I'll just take this one off. So let's say yours looks like this. We don't have screen recording. So to add screen recording, if you scroll all the way down, they're in alphabetical order, and then you have one that says screen recording right there. And all you have to do is just press the plus button, and you'll see that it now adds it. And then again, you'll have the minus to take them out. And there is these little 3 lines. If you press and hold, you can reorder what they're in as well. So once you've done that, now when you go to Control Center, that icon will be there. So that's the first part if you don't already have that. So that's the first part of getting screen recording set up. The second part is that you actually want to make sure that it is able to record sound. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press and hold on the screen recording button so that this menu comes up here. And that's because the thing that you want to check is right here, the microphone. So once you set up the screen recording icon, by default, the microphone is actually set to off. So if you go to start recording, something and you're talking, but you haven't gone and done this part yet, you're going to hear absolutely nothing. So you want to make sure that the first time you go in, that you press that button to make sure that microphone is on. So when you go to do a recording, you'll actually be able to record, at least your sound anyway. And then after that's set up, the process of making a screen recording is to just press on that button. Because I am connected to the Apple TV, I can't show you screen mirroring. I can only do one at a time. But what will happen here when you press this is the inner circle will turn into a countdown. You'll see 3, 2, 1, and then it will turn red to show that it started recording. And actually, while that countdown is going on, you can actually just leave Control Center, just press anywhere outside of all of these buttons. And when the countdown is over, up in the top where the battery number is, you'll actually see a little red icon show up there too to let you know that you're recording your screen. And then you just need to come back to Control Center and press on the button again to stop recording. And then after that, you'll get a notification telling you that your video is saved in the Photos app. So you can go there and find it among all of the rest of your pictures and videos. So that's a quick primer on screen recording. And like I said, I do have a tutorial video on my website as well to help with that. So,
Jeff, how do I get rid of what I just practiced with my camera, my video?
Like how to get rid of the screen recording?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that case, you're going to want to go into the Photos app, and then you'll see a whole list of videos. So you're going to find the video that you wanted to get rid of. You go to all photos, and then your most recent is at the bottom. You can press the select button to check it. I don't think you really need to do that. I think you can just press on the picture to open it. And then what you can't see, because I'm Apple TVing it, there is a little trash can icon that you'll see. If you do the select, you can select multiple at a time, and then your trash is at the bottom. You just press it and then delete photo. It actually doesn't immediately delete it. There is a folder called recently deleted. So if you delete something by accident, you can go through and find it again.
I don't want Google Photos, right?
No, you want Apple, you want the one that's just called Photos.
Okay. All right, I'll keep looking for it. Thank you.
Actually, while I'm here, I'll also show you. So if I want to share one or more pictures or videos, you might have noticed too, along with the trash can at the bottom, there's also the share button at the bottom as well. So I can press that, and then you have all these different options that you can use depending on different apps that you have installed, but you can add them into an email in Gmail. You can upload them into Google Drive, all kinds of different options that you might have to do that. So you have the ability to kind of move things around and all that fun stuff too. So that share button is important.